Call me former Arizona Cardinal and Ohio State running back Beanie Wells because, well, I took off my beanie and I recorded an ad with it, and you'll see it later here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. Welcome into the CHGO White Sox podcast, coming to you live from the West Loop offices of our CHGO studios. I'm coming to you live from Studio West. Still haven't figured this out. It's a brand new studio. Yes, there is a White Sox here. You look, it's Frank Thomas right there.
We are in a studio.
We're in Studio West. It should have a letter number, and it doesn't, and it throws me off every time. And I'm
throws
still not
me off
used to
every
it.
day.
I'm Sean Anderson. That's my producer, Sarah.
Hello.
Hello. Hit that thumbs up button or become a member like Randy Brooks just did. I don't even know what this is. What did Randy just do?
No, that's the let me turn the music off real quick. Okay, so the music
The music has stopped. Okay. Right.
Oh, there we go.
We're
Sorry.
producing on air.
What is it? Yeah, so when you become a CHGO YouTube member,
stickers, right?
you unlock you have access to exclusive emojis and different types of content that we make that is only allowed access for people that are members. I believe, if I'm right, it is $5 a month, $6 a month,
something like that. If you want to become like Randy, feel free to become a member. You also have like the Will Gottlieb, Dalen Terry Papa Shop video that everybody posted.
There's a couple different exclusive videos. There's some exclusive stickers that we are always making weekly. We have new ones that come out. I'll put a link in the chat right now
so
for
if
you
you're
guys
interested,
to come.
Thank you, Randy. Shout out to Randy.
Yeah,
Hit that thumbs up
regardless,
button.
thank you, Randy.
Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We're going to be hanging out with you for the next 45 minutes. If you have any thoughts, make sure you comment in the chat. Both Ryan and Ashley are saying hi to Sarah. So hello to Sarah. How are you?
Good.
Good. It's cold here.
On this side, it's a little chilly.
Yeah.
That's because the Bears guy stunk up Studio A.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I would sit the stink if it meant I was warm.
True.
So, yeah, for some reason, the heat was off over there. I turned it on. I don't know if that's because just the heat's broken. We should call 4 seasons. Anyways, on today's show, we'll be talking about Luis Robert Jr.'s trade market, and we'll be diving into some Lenyn Sosa numbers. I know analytics aren't everything, but I watched every single game, and I don't like Lenyn Sosa. So I'm trying to debate whether he is a good player with some upside because, yeah, he did hit 22 home runs, and on a really bad team last year, he was the most productive hitter. I understand why some people wouldn't want to get rid of him. But more examining, was this a ceiling for Lenyn or not? There have been two, I'll call major free agent moves. The first one being Hyun Kim staying with the Atlanta Braves for a 1-year, $20 million deal to remain their shortstop. And he's the former, I think, Ray and Padre, and now Braves shortstop. That is going to be brought up, and the importance of that is going to be brought up a little bit later. The other trade or deal that is important to the White Sox, former White Sox, Adrian Hauser signed a 2-year, $22 million deal to become a San Francisco Giant. I know some people thought, well, could he possibly reunite with the Chicago White Sox or this year? I never saw it as a fit, mainly because he seemed to be wanting more than just another opportunity to be traded someplace he possibly could grow with his new diet. He's now, sitting 95. It seems like he's healthier than he's ever been. Seems like he found something. I think he's trying to bet on that because he's still, I think he's only like 32. So a 2-year deal could take him to 34. And I mean, you see Merrill Kelly still getting deals at like 38. So it's not crazy that he could possibly get another deal. But the Hyun Kim, and I think I said Hyun Kim, so I apologize about that. Hyun Kim signing for 1 year, $20 million is important to the White Sox, because that's the exact amount of money that Luis Robert Jr. is making. And Kim had a very similar bat that Luis Robert Jr. did. Obviously, you can't compare shortstop to center field, apples to apples. They are completely different positions. If the White Sox could put Luis Robert Jr. at shortstop, they probably would. They can't, and that's why I play center field. But Kim was acquired from the Rays at the trade deadline by the Braves. Kim had a 93 OPS plus with Atlanta, but overall in the year, he had an 83 OPS plus, very similar to where Robert sat. Robert also had a better second half, like Kim did. And also, I didn't clown your mock trade. I felt like I gave it, you know, I talked about that Shane Smith deal, I thought, fairly. If you want to trade Shane Smith, you could trade Shane Smith. I thought I gave out reasons why not to. But anyways, Kim had a good second half, just like Robert did. But the main value that he's providing is defensively. 0.3 WAR for Kim last year. Robert around a similar number. The main thing that Kim is going to bring to the Braves is consistency at shortstop defensively. Luis Robert Jr. not only brings that in center field, he also gives that luster of potential, that former 38 homer ceiling. Although he only hit 14 last year, could he possibly put together another 2023 season along with his increasing stolen base numbers? You look at that $20 million paid to Robert, while it isn't a shortstop specifically, Luis Robert Jr., it is a valuable outfielder who is a right-handed hitter, something Brian Cashman is saying, players that can hit over 100 OPS plus, Robert has before, and being right-handed are more rare than ever. I think this year was the lowest amount of players that saw over 300 plate appearances that were right-handed outfielders that had over 100 OPS plus. Robert technically doesn't fit into that category, but he could be one that rejoins those ranks. I just think that if you're the Braves and you're able to give Kim that number on a player that does seem to be, getting worse offensively, Robert, I don't know if he's necessarily getting worse. I could still talk myself into Luis Robert Jr. being an impactful player. You look at what he did since Kyle Teal was called up. He obviously was better from July to the end of his injury. But Robert, even when Teal was called up, 55 games, a 113 weighted runs created plus, a 7.6 walk rate. When did you ever think Luis Robert Jr. would have something above a 6% walk rate, a 21% K rate? When did you ever think that he'd have a K rate under 30% or under 28%? Those things are very, very intriguing. The BABIP was 304, and you could kind of see some life returning to the bat. A 268 average, a 330 on-base percentage, a 442 slugging percentage. It still felt like the power wasn't necessarily 2023 there, but when you do look at the damage numbers and what he is able to do when he does hit a ball well, it still compares to 2023 numbers. When his max exit velocity numbers are still comparable to the 2023 numbers, it still seems like that power is there. It's just more about tapping into consistency for Luis Robert Jr. And I like the trades that he's made at the plate. This is all to say, when I asked today on Twitter, where do you think White Sox fans, where do you think Luis Robert Jr. will play on opening day? I think around 78% of you said the White Sox. 73.5% said the White Sox out of 166 votes. 10.8% said Mets. 6.6% Phillies. 9% said others. Brian S. said the Pirates. Mike said the Reds. And then two others. Ryan, being one of them, said if he's not on the White Sox, he'll be a New York Met. So I don't think that a trade market will just kind of drum up out of the White Sox existence. If we look at what people had to say about the White Sox and trying to deal with them, specifically with Luis Robert Jr., I don't think that the Phillies are actually interested in Luis Robert Jr. I think you can make up a scenario on why they are interested in Luis Robert Jr. He could be an upgrade for them in center field. But when we look back at this deadline, Bob Nightingale was on foul territory, and he said that general managers get frustrated dealing with Chris Getz, that the Phillies actually had no interest in Luis Robert Jr. at all, that the White Sox should have traded him last winter, missed their opportunity this summer, and now, obviously, they still control him this winter. And then when you see that Jon Heyman, I think 4 days ago in the New York Post, said that the Mets checked in on Luis Robert Jr., but the one thing that held the deal back from getting done is the Mets want the White Sox to take on some money. Jerry Reinsdorf said that the Mets are pretty much the only team that they won't eat money for. Who was the one owner to not vote on Steve Cohen becoming the owner of the Mets? It's Jerry Reinsdorf. I think Jerry Reinsdorf knows that Steve Cohen could afford that contract, and I think that that's a leverage thing that he'll play. We'll talk about whether that's fair in a second or not, but it's more about the volatility. Is this real? Do I think a Luis Robert Jr. is 60% chance to get traded like Jeff Passan and Kylie McDaniel wrote in ESPN? No. I think it's, you people put it at 73.5%. I'll take the over. I think it's at least 75% to like 85% chance that he's going to be on the White Sox come opening day. And I think that's best for them in his trade value. Kim proves that a player with defensive value is affordable at 120. If that player continues their defensive value, if that player continues their value on the base paths by walking more, getting on base, being a 30 stolen base-ish projection heading into opening day, and add on to that the eye-popping power that we know Luis Robert Jr. to have, if you're gambling, I say just continue to let it roll. There isn't a replacement for his center field right now. Maybe you could put Brooks Baldwin there. Maybe you could put Everson Pereira in there. I'd rather see Luis Robert Jr. Because right now, if the only way you're getting something viable from the Mets is by eating money, probably the last person I want to say, like, you know, props to you. But Jerry Reinsdorf, props to you. I don't think you should eat money to trade him to the Mets. They can't afford him. The Braves just proven that a defensive commodity that has not a ton of offensive upside is worth 1 year, $20 million. They're different positions. I'll give you that. But again, Luis Robert Jr. has not shown that he could just be a defensive guy in center field. He could be an offensive weapon on the base pass. And again, if everything can click, a 30-homer guy. If he was able to finish out the year, he still gets to 20 homers. He's a 20-homer, 30 stolen base guy, giving you positive defense in center field. I think that that's worth the same amount that Ha-Seong Kim is worth. So, why is Luis Robert Jr. not traded? Why is he still a White Sox? Because I don't think the Phillies are actually interested in Luis Robert Jr. Ryan says the Phillies are done looking at outfielders. I don't think Dave Dombrowski even wants to deal with Chris Getz. You can go back to Matt Gelb in The Athletic and said that this was, it says 22 minutes ago. That doesn't make sense. This was, I think, the winter meetings last year. But Matt Gelb in The Athletic said Phillies missed out on Garrett Crochet after offering top prospects at the deadline. And this is what Dombrowski said. Dombrowski is not famous for his restraint, but the veteran executive has practiced it while running the Phillies. It was Dombrowski who 8 years ago at the winter meetings traded Boston Red Sox for prospects to require an ace pitcher from the Chicago White Sox. He's carried a reputation, fair or not, for decimating farm systems to feed a big league winner. He had a chance to do it again this offseason for Garrett Crochet. The Phillies resisted. On Wednesdays, the White Sox traded Crochet to Boston, the exclamation point to an active week across the sport. Dombrowski said, "I'm not sure it was the right time for us to do that right now." There was a time, Gelb writes. Multiple major league sources portrayed the Phillies and White Sox as near trade partners in July. At one point, sometime close to the July 30th trade deadline, the Phillies upped their offer to acquire Crochet by including Aiden Miller along with Justin Crawford and lower-level prospects, according to sources. Those talks never culminated in an agreement. The Phillies believed they had satisfied Chicago's stipulation for 2 top 100 prospects, and that is the only thing that matters. If you feel like that wasn't a fair offer in your GM mind, sitting there listening to this, that Aiden Miller, Justin Crawford plus prospects wasn't enough for Crawford or for Crochet, that's fine. But the issue is that Dave Dombrowski sees Chris Getz as a pain in the ass. I think you could pretty much write Luis Robert Jr. off the Phillies list right now until he gives them pretty much no choice to acquire him. If they need a center fielder and there's a center fielder out there playing above average defense, showing above average power and above average speed, you bet the Phillies will be interested. But right now, I don't think they want to play this cat and mouse game with Chris Getz, where I know, as a White Sox podcast host, 3 months from now, we're still going to be talking about Luis Robert Jr. on the White Sox. I think they're trying to drum up interest, but I don't think there's a ton. Again, the Mets really aren't advancing in talks with Luis Robert Jr. because of the salary stuff. That salary stuff won't change until he goes out and proves it on the field, which after seeing his June to the end of the year where he gets hurt, I'm interested to see what happens. I think that Luis Robert Jr. we know and love, or maybe some of us know and love, is still in there. And I think he showed that once Colson Montgomery was on this team. I think he showed that once Kyle Teal was on this team. He seemed really reinvigorated as a ball player. And I think that he has been very, well media trained when asked about being traded. Doesn't seem like he likes it, but I think he's been able to put it on the back burner. He's been able to live with it. Now it's more about putting it out on the field. And I think, at least to be fair to him, he was healthy in the first months, wasn't clicking, but from June to the end of the year, you saw him clicking. So the Mets are maybe viable. I don't think the Phillies are. We'll talk about two other teams after the break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We want to let you know about our friends over at Sunnyside Dispensary. They are here to elevate your football season. There is a big game on Saturday. Chicago's taking on Green Bay. Make sure you check out Sunnyside to elevate your experience. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. So if you know what you're doing, you can get in and out. Stop in the store nearest you as well for expert guidance from their staff. So if you don't know what you're doing, maybe it's your first time checking out a dispensary, they can take you through the 100 strains and help you decide which way is the best for you to imbibe. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. So stop into the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify over at sunnyside.shop. Head to their website for Bright Buys every day, again, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases using promo code HICHGO. For returning customers, use code CHGO50. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Dispensary, Bright Buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Ray CDJR. Our friends over at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram are here to give you your last chance this year to score a great deal at the year-end sales event. Head to Ray CDJR on Route 12 to choose from their huge inventory of new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles. And right now, get $0 down and 0 payments until March on all new CDJR models. Plus, shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000 with a friendly team of brand experts. The team at Ray CDJR is here to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. Plus, since they prioritize affordability, they can make the Ray price promise to you that the price you see is the price you get. You could shop confidently with no add-ons or hidden fees ever with our good friends over at Ray. So check out our partner today to shop one of Chicago area's largest inventories. Don't miss out on the year-end sales event for huge savings on new models. For more information, visit Ray CDJR today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox podcast. If you do have any thoughts, let us know in the chat. I'm not trying to clown any thoughts as well. I'll try to be fair to them. My bad if I wasn't fair to the Shane Smith trade proposal. You just, again, have 6 years of control on a pitcher. You see what the Brewers just did, trading Isaac Collins, who was a player that finished top 5 in Rookie of the Year, had around a 2.5 WAR season. They traded him plus a reliever for pretty much another reliever that I think maybe Zerpa could possibly be a starter, but they traded a guy that was worth 2.5 WAR for a guy that was worth 0.6 WAR. Pitching is a lot more valuable than hitting. So I don't see the White Sox trading Shane Smith, especially not right now, and I don't see the White Sox trading Kyle Teal. So that's just more to answer the question. My bad if I dunked on it or whatever. Bob Nightingale did report while we were in the break, or maybe this wasn't in the break. This was right when we were starting the show. The Arizona Diamondbacks have become a surprise entrance in the Alex Bregman sweepstakes and are, quote, kicking the tires on the possibility the Diamondbacks would certainly have financial flexibility if they moved Ketel Marte and could move Jordan Lawler to third base. And I don't know if I buy the Marte stuff either. I think that might be more pressure on maybe Marte's camp to, like, decide if they want to trade or not, because at the end of the day, Marte decides, because he has a no trade clause, I think, or at least no trade clause to certain teams. I don't think that the Bregman thing is real for Arizona, but we will see. To continue on, Robert, I wouldn't put the Reds out of contention. I think they need to be convinced. You saw that they were players on Kyle Schwarber, and players, you could put that in quote. Schwarber ends up getting 5/150 from the Phillies. That was both offered by the Baltimore Orioles and Philadelphia Phillies. He decided to stay with the Phillies, who gave him and matched the Phillies' offer of 5/150. The Orioles then take that 5/150 that they didn't spend and give Pete Alonso $5 million more to sign him. But that left the Reds, who wanted to bring back the Middleton, Ohio kid in Kyle Schwarber for 5/125. They not only went to the table, but really actually didn't bring enough to the table. I think Robert not being a guy that they think could increase sales tickets right away is a why, again, the White Sox are better off letting this sit and simmer. I think, some people have said Chris Getz is asleep. I think part of why you're seeing Luis Robert Jr.'s name floated is because maybe when White Sox sources are asked, and I'm not asking White Sox sources, but when White Sox sources are asked, like, how's Luis Robert Jr.'s trade market? I think they want to give you the idea that, we're ready for anything to happen, because right now nothing's happening with them. I don't think in the next few days they're going to be signing a reliever or a starter or a hitter. Like, I think all is quiet on the White Sox front. I think a little bit more needs to settle. They possibly are players in that Pete Fairbanks sweepstakes, but I think at the end of the day, they will lose that sweepstakes. I don't know exactly what holds for the White Sox trade market, but if you do see Luis Robert Jr. stuff, I'd just say question it. I think it's very, very unlikely that he ends up getting dealt. All right, let's move on. And Ryan in the chat saying, I think the Reds are just pulling names out there and not really sincere in their offers, kind of like the Pirates are doing. I think the Pirates specifically are facing what the A's faced last year, where they went out and just kind of gave Luis Severino a random amount of money. It does seem like the Pirates are maybe facing some pressure with inside Major League Baseball to spend some money, and that's why you're seeing the Pirates being interested. The talk before the year is that they're trading Paul Skeens within this year. I don't know if that's just baseball writers being like, well, that's the smartest move for your franchise to maximize value, but I don't really see the Pirates doing it. I mean, the Pirates really aren't going to take on that money. So to trade Robert, you need to take on that money. I don't think Reinsdorf is against it for nutting, but if you have to convince them to take on some amount of money, you're likely not going to get a good prospect return. So I don't think that Robert right now should be dealt. There were some Discord messages. BDams92 said he'll be a White Sox in a White Sox uniform on opening day. And then Luke McDowell said, Pirates seem to be looking to add talent. They could be a dark horse. One of my favorite running bets right now is Tipping Pitches, the baseball podcast on Twitter, saying that whenever a free agent does sign, they quote tweeted it and said, my sources said the Pirates finished third. I think if the Luis Robert Jr. gets traded this offseason, the Pirates are finishing third because that's what's best for the narrative. But I don't see them at least being able to make an offer that's enticing enough for the Sox. Doveman says Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty for Roberts. Love you, Dove, man. And again, not trying to bash on people's ideas. Vientos for Robert was floated out during the trade deadline, and I think that's because the White Sox wanted Mark Vientos. And I think the reason why Beatty's being floated out there is because maybe that was a little bit more easy to swallow for the Mets. But now with them moving on from Nimmo, bringing in Simeon, I think Beatty has a spot at third base, or I guess Vientos does. But, I mean, now first base is open. That could just be Vientos sliding over to first base. I think Vientos and Beatty will be used. So if it is Ventos and Beatty, I think it would probably be Ventos or Beatty. And if it's one of those, it's likely more Beatty than Vientos. But that's it. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Those are mainly the thoughts specifically on why I don't think Luis Robert Jr. will be a Philadelphia Philly. It just seems absurd to me that a deal would get done between these two GMs that one GM seemingly doesn't like dealing with the other one. And some White Sox don't like Chris Getz for that reason as well. White Sox fans want Chris Getz to be a little bit more aggressive. And what we've seen Chris Getz be is patient. It took him until December, after a whole year pretty much of dangling crochet, especially around the trade deadline. It took him until December to actually pull the trigger on that. Same thing with Cease, but it didn't take him until December. It took him until March. I mean, will this be like a March thing for the White Sox and Chris Getz? I wouldn't put it out there, but I also more see him just taking the field on opening day for the White Sox. Let's move into Lenyn Sosa. With the White Sox being unable to sign Josh Bell, it does look more feasible or plausible that Lenyn Sosa could be the White Sox first baseman. I did put out a wish list, a genuine interest in order for White Sox free agents to sign for their first baseman. One is Kazuma Okamoto, the 30-year-old from MPB. I'm interested in him. The White Sox seemingly had a scout at one of his games, reported by Japan Yahoo. I'd like to see it happen. I don't know if I believe it will happen, but I could stomach it. It doesn't seem like Okamoto will be a third baseman. He did play some third base in NPB, but it does seem more likely that he'd be a first baseman. There is obviously Munetaka Murakami out there, who I think he needs to make his decision by the 22nd. So he's got about 6 days to finish that decision. Most of the reporting, even the sparse reporting that there has been, has not linked Murakami to the White Sox. I think it would be very, 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 very surprising. More surprising if Robert was traded this offseason, the White Sox signing Munetaka Murakami. Not against it. I just don't believe that'll happen. Second, Ryan O'Hearn does seem feasible with the connection to Ryan Fuller. Third, Rhys Hoskins, a guy that could provide pop similar to Josh Bell. He might not be as consistent of a hitter. He doesn't give you that switch hitting flexibility that Bell did. He might be a better first baseman than Bell is. So Hoskins, genuine interest. If they signed him, I'd be happy. And it's really the top three that are like true major leaguers. Then you get to the 4th and 5th spots. I would sign these because these guys are 30-year-old lefties. And that's really the only reason why I'm signing them. Nathaniel Lowe has been decent before. He wasn't in 2025. Maybe getting out of Texas helps a little bit. He went to Boston at the end of the year. Wasn't that great, but maybe being able to have a full offseason, know where you're going would help Lowe. Dominic Smith was just in San Francisco. Really tough place for left-handers to hit. I've always been interested in Dom Smith. He's never really made it, though. He's never really been a major league player, so it's tough to put your eggs in that basket. 6 is Heimer Candelario. He's washed, I feel. He does give you switch hitting flexibility, but most of his value was being a decent defender, and that was years ago at third base. He's no longer that and no longer a great hitter. 7 is Carlos Santana. 55% of that is just morbid curiosity if he could pull the Kelly Johnson of the AL Central. He's played for Cleveland. I believe he's played for Kansas City. I believe he's played for Minnesota. He just needs to play for the White Sox in Detroit, and Carlos Santana will finish a Kelly Johnson of the AL Central. So I'm interested in Carlos Santana mainly for that reason and that reason alone. 8, Mark Canha. He seems to be washed as well. 9, Rowdy Tellez. Really never been good. Maybe he could provide some pop for like a month, but I'm not really interested in them. And 10 is Luis Arraez. Some people have mentioned, look at his stats at guaranteed rate field. He loves hitting there. Part of that was being 4 years younger than he was than now. And part of that, too, is just he is an average player. So his average is going to look good. But he can't play first base. He's shorter than I am, I'm pretty sure. I can't play Major League Baseball at any position. I don't think Luis Arraez has. Look at any of his stats. He really hasn't proven that he can play any defensive position in the major leagues. So you're really just taking on another DH. Dovman throws out Benny for Christian Walker. If they traded Benny for Christian Walker, wouldn't hate it because Walker at least plays at position. And then that would free up the DH position to, hey, if you want to go sign Luis Arraez, knock yourself out. I think Majdroth, Antonacci are of our similar molds, high contact rate guys that don't allow a lot of pop. Having, whatever, if ideally 1,000 to 12,000 plate appearances be from guys that are going to give you like 8 homers. Not good, Bob. So I'm not really interested in Luis Arraez, especially with Sam Antonacci and Chase Majdroth coming up. A lot of similar profiles, and Arraez is also just old and bad, so I don't want him. Some people were asking when I put out this list, though, where do you be able to stomach Lenyn Sosa? If you don't get Okamoto, if you miss out on O'Hearn, if Hoskins wasn't of interest to the White Sox, where does Lenyn Sosa become stomachable? I think it's around that Lowe and Smith era. There isn't really a guy between Smith and Lowe that I prefer. It's mainly because of the handedness. Lowe's big as well, so I think he could play a decent defensive third base. But I mean, at that point, I think I'm just more morbidly curious in just what Sosa can do. Are we at a break here, Sarah? Okay, I'm going to throw out a ton of stats here. So let's take a break here. I'll talk on why I don't want Sosa to be the option. They could trade him for a pitcher. That'd be great. And just sign O'Hearn and Hoskins. That seems ideal to me. But if we had to stomach Lenyn Sosa, what are the silver linings? What are the major red flags with him? And can he repeat his 2025 success? Can he even top his 2025 success? We'll talk about Lenyn after the break. We want to let you know about our friends over at Eye on the Ball. Dave and Chris are diehards just like you, and that's why we're so excited to help out their company. If you are an athlete, here's a question for you. Are you serious about leveling up your game? Because the right coach can change everything, and now finding one is easier than ever with Eye on the Ball. It doesn't matter if you're just a kid starting out or competing at the top level. You can sign up totally free at eyeontheball.net. Create your profile, search through the coaches in your sport, and connect directly with the one that's right for you. From soccer to swimming, baseball to basketball, you name it, the coaches are there on Eye on the Ball. So what are you waiting for? Your future coach could be just one click away. Jump on today at eyeontheball.net. That's eyeontheball.net. Find your coach and take your game to the next level. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Shady Rays. While it is winter, the sun has not hidden. While it's not 98 degrees, the sun will bounce off the snow and make it very, very difficult to see. Go get shades that are good looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. And that's not even the best part about Shady Rays. You probably have that moment or that feeling where you've left the sunglasses on the roof of your car and then driven away and broken the sunglasses and maybe left them in a state behind while doing so. You could have maybe left them in a field. Maybe you took them off while you were watching your nephew's baseball game. I don't know. The point is you lose them. Shady Rays will replace them. If you break them, Shady Rays will replace them. They have changed the game. They are the eyewear that has your back. We can wear our sunglasses without fear on hikes, concerts, on the boat, wherever, because the wild part is if you lose them or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair, no guilt trip, just replacements. So we've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They are our go-to shades. Extremely durable. I had mine for over 3 years. I never had to get them replaced because I never lost them because they're the best pair that I've ever had. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox podcast. I had no idea Chris Getz was on 670 The Score today. He was on with Molly and Haw today, and he was asked about the number 1 overall pick. I'll have to go back to listen to the full conversation, but I did just listen to his answer right now in the break. He does mention that it's a really good year to have the number 1 overall pick. He does bring up Roch Chalowski. I didn't hear the question. I had assumed Roch Chalowski. I assumed Chalowski was in the question, and that's why he's bringing him up. But his answer is not really strayed from what we've heard or what I've been saying. It's just like, the reason you want the number 1 overall pick is because it gives you the largest bonus pool. And if you have 4 prospects that you think are first-round players, if you're able to maybe get an underslot player at 1-1, like Emerson, just to throw out the prep high schooler that's right behind Chalowski, are you then able to get, a guy that's underslot for maybe $8 million, something like that, instead of the 10-something Chalowski will sign. And then are you able to spread $1 million more to the second-round player, $1 million only to the third-round player, and $1 million only to the fourth-round player? Ryan brings up Roch is the only option at the pick. I disagreed mainly because we just don't know what Roch's 2026 is going to look like. Right now, he's the leading candidate. But also, you can look at the Kentucky Derby. How many times has there been a horse that's 3-1 to win it, and then you have a mage at 17-1 that wins? It's a race that does seem like there's a clear front runner, but you never know what can happen with Roch. The other thing, too, again, is if Emerson's decent enough, and he's similar to a Chalowski, to where Chalowski was in 2023, that if Emerson went to college and by his sophomore year, he'd be, college baseball player of the year. Usually players of Chalowski's pedigree don't go to the college level. We heard that from, who did we just, Connor McKnight. I don't know if we could just Sharpie in Chalowski's name. And I don't think Getz is wrong to say that. You have a very clear answer. Hey, we'll watch Roch Chalowski and see what he can do. And if we're able to work out a contract with him for 1-1, we'll sign him. But again, if you're going to be aggressive like the White Sox can be with having this large bonus pool, I wouldn't hate them going 1-1 Emerson and then getting Jose Contreras' kid, Jim Thomey's kid, and then another first-round kid or fringe first-round kid in the 4th round. We've seen them be aggressive with their bonus pool. So I don't know if Roch's the only one. Anyways, Van the Man bringing up Nathaniel Lowe. I don't hate him, but again, if we're comparing Lowe to Dominic Smith, to Lenyn Sosa, I'm interested in Lenyn Sosa. It's tough to say that, but I'm interested in what Sosa could possibly do. Let's talk about Nathaniel Thomas. He writes over on Substack under Box Score Bits, and he put out some metrics called Swing Plus, Decision Plus, and Batting Plus. And while I was reading about this, there was a name that stuck out. When you go to Decision Plus, you could see the top 10 hitters. It's Leo Rivas. It's Kyle Tucker. It's Gleyber Torres. It's Matt Tice. It's Jahmai Jones. It's Alex Freeland. It's Jesse Winkler. It's Anthony Seigler. It's Ryan Noda. And it's Isaac Collins. And when Nathaniel talks about making Decision Plus, he says that it's purely a mathematical formula that grades a batter's discipline independent of the results of a plate appearance. It's most similar to Baseball Prospectus Seeger, which we love on this show. It's pretty much the ability to swing at pitches inside the zone and not swing at pitches outside the zone. And Nathaniel writes, it considers swing decisions both inside the strike zone and outside of it. But while Seeger only separates pitches into hittable and not hittable, Decision Plus goes further by rating decisions in each of those 4 regions of the strike zone as defined by StatCast, which are the heart, which is like right down the middle, the shadow, which is, the edge of a strike zone, the chase, which is completely out of the strike zone, and then the waste region, which are Emmanuel Clase, and who's the other guy on Cleveland, breaking balls to lead off and to illegally gamble, right? Like those are the waste pitches. A Grant Taylor curveball that's darted 5 feet in front of you. Swinging at pitches, Nathaniel writes, only creates a positive run value in the heart of the zone. Swinging at pitches in the shadow, chase, and waste region produces negative results to varying degree. To create Decision Plus, he found each hitter's relative ability to make good decisions in each region of the zone: heart swing plus, shadow take plus, chase take plus, and waste take plus. After that, he weighed the 4 components based on the relative run value of correct swing decisions as opposed to incorrect ones. And he gives an example, but mainly he gives the formula of heart swing plus times 0.153 plus shadow take plus times 0.094 plus chase take plus times 0.33 plus waste take plus times 0.420. This is all to say that when you look at the worst hitters, when you look at their ability to swing and make decisions inside the heart, their abilities to not swing or to swing at pitches outside, Lenyn Sosa is 5th on the list. 1 is Javi Baez, should be no surprise. 2, Jhonkensy Noel, free swinger from Cleveland. Christian Encarnacion Strand, 3rd on this list. Yohel Pozo, 4th on this list. 5th, Lenyn Sosa. 6, Edmundo Sosa. 7, Michael Harris, the 2nd. 8, Andrew Kisner. 9, Sal Perez, another free swinger in the AL Central. And 10, Yanier Diaz. Thomas writes, Baez, Noel, Harris II, Perez, Diaz. These are guys that definitely come to mind when I think of free swinger. When you look into Lenyn, there are a lot of comparisons that you could just draw to him and Yanier Diaz. And Diaz has had some interesting seasons. He's mainly, I think he was a catcher. I think he still catches. He's a catcher, so he has some defensive value. But he had a 116 weighted runs or OPS plus last year, and then a 92 OPS plus last year. And a lot of his results, like hit-wise, were the same. It's just a lot of unluck because if the balls aren't landing, if you don't have a high batting average in play and you're not walking, you're going to be struggling to find yourself above water. We saw Lenyn Sosa just be at that benchmark 100 OPS plus, which really isn't good for a defensive-only player or a bat-only player, a guy that really can't play defense. And to look further into Lenyn's damage profile, players with similar damage profiles, and this is from not the Bobby Orr who created that Seeger stat, to Lenyn. There's Bo Naylor, Otto Kemp, Nolan Gorman, and Casey Schmidt. These are all players that have similar damage per batted ball event, 90th percentile exit velocity, and max exit velocity, along with, I think, those were the only ones I put in. Sosa has the worst walk to K ratio of the bunch. Sosa and Schmidt were the only players to have over league average expected weighted on base average, and the league barrel percent has been sub 10% over the past 2 seasons. Sosa was at 10.4. So if that barrel percent changes for the worse and he's not walking, there is a very easy way that Lenyn Sosa has a below average hitting year, and he's not your favorite damn player. And then you filter more for damage per batted ball event, 90th percentile event, and chase percent. Sosa's ability to make contact does stick out. When you look at his ability to make contact, you see that he is similar-ish when it comes to chase rate, 90th percentile, damage per batted ball event, Bo Bichette, Yanier Diaz, and Alek Thomas. And this sticks out a little bit more to me because from this group of 19 players from 2021 to 2025 with at least 200 player appearances in a season, Sosa spotted the third best zone contact percentage. And that's something that he does do well is when he does swing, he can make contact. And if he is swinging at a ton of pitches, he won't walk. But if there are pitches in the zone, he should make contact. And at least of this group, 11 of the 19 in the group that had similar damage per batted ball event, 90th percentile, and chase rate, 11 of the 19 posted at least a 100-plus weighted runs created season. So there is a possibility there that Lenyn could be an average to above average hitter again. Sarah, I shared some graphs with you, and then we'll wrap this show up. This is, again, from Nathaniel Thomas. Can we go to the first one? Yeah. All right. So this is the two-strike swing rate versus contact rate. On the left side, and I believe that's the y-axis, the two-strike contact rate, and then on the x-axis is the two-strike swing rate. So when you go to the right side, you're going to see guys that swing more in two-strike counts. And then when you see a guy up on the list, that's a guy that's going to make more contact in two-strike counts. And you could see that a guy that is to the right and up, and one of the more up and right dots on there is Lenyn Sosa. Right there next to and above Josh Lowe and even above Freddie Freeman. He's on a similar contact level and even at a higher contact level in two strikes than Mookie Betts. He obviously swings more and a lot more than Mookie Betts. Betts is on the left side of that graph. Even Juan Soto is on the left side of that graph. But Lenyn's making more contact. I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing. In two strikes counts than Lenyn Sosa, or then Juan Soto, then Mookie Betts, then even Freddie Freeman.
Look who's at the bottom. Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge. Well, I don't know if Aaron, where is Aaron? I don't actually
He's at the bottom left.
Bottom left. Oh, yeah. So he walks a ton. And I think a lot of that is just in a two-strike count, especially if you have a ball, you're mainly just throwing it outside of him. Right. And every name's on there, right? And I mean, typically where you want to be is bottom left because that's where Schwarber is. That's where Judge is. That's where Soto is. Betts is a little bit higher there. But typically those guys aren't making contacts in two-strike counts because they're either swinging and missing, they're either not getting a pitch to swing at, or when they make contact, it's going very, very far.
Yeah. So
it's not actually, if you're in the right quadrant where Sosa is, if you're in the bottom left quadrant where Judge and Soto is, it doesn't mean you're a good or bad player. It just more to me says, I don't know if Lenyn is able to keep this up. I don't know if Lenyn in two-strike counts can keep this high of a contact rate while keeping this high of a swing rate, because there are very few that are even able to be this much of an outlier. Like, is he an Adam Frazier-like player? I don't think so, but maybe he is. And let's go to this other one from Nathaniel Thomas. This one's a little bit more illuminating to maybe Sosa's skill. This is two-strike contact rate gain. So do you see a contact rate gain in two strikes compared to your other strike counts or any count? And then on the bottom, the x-axis is two-strike swing rate gain. So are you swinging more in a two-strike count? And what Nathaniel said is he is one of the dots close to Chase Meidroth. And you can see Chase Meidroth on the bottom right there, where in two-strike swing rates, Chase is not only swinging more, but he's also making less contact than he is in non-two-strike contact rates. So really, Lenyn is below average when it comes to two-strike contact rate gain, that he doesn't actually make more contact in two-strike counts. He makes more contact in two-strike counts compared to the major league average, but it's also because he's swinging way more than the major league average. And he's just swinging in pretty much every single count. And that's why he's able to get to 0-2 counts so easily, is because he swings a ton and is able to foul a ball off, swing and miss. There's an 0-2 count. So I just don't think that a player that has this low of a walk rate, that maybe in a weird way has crazy elite contact skills, but doesn't have next level power, I just do not see Lenyn Sosa by the end of 2026 being on the White Sox. So if they can move him for a pitcher and sign a free agent first baseman, I think that'd be best for the team. Doveman saying Sosa had success. He out-hit Mydroth, in my opinion. 20-plus homers while being moved from second base. 35-plus homers incoming. That's absolutely absurd. If Lenyn Sosa hits 35 home runs, I will shave my bare chest on this show. I don't know. I'm just trying to. What do people not want to see? What is something ridiculous that I could do? I mean, feel free to.
That's definitely up there.
I forgot that I'm no longer in Studio B and nobody listens to my show.
Right. That's definitely.
I can't shave my head. I'm already bald.
You already did that like 3
I
years
already
ago,
did that too.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to more like Lenyn Sosa hitting 35 home runs is ridiculous.
Good, better, best.
I don't know. I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's applicable.
Everyone's showing themselves this month.
What?
Because Ben Johnson.
I don't know if Lenyn Sosa is being affected by Ben Johnson.
I'm saying for you to show your chest on the air.
Oh, you're saying like Ben Johnson.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to.
Luke talked about taking his shirt off today.
Well, it was more that I don't want to. So it was more I'm trying to offer something that would be ridiculous that I don't even want to do to just show that.
Shave the beard.
I don't know. 35 homers is absurd. Just to like in perspective, there have been 24 seasons where a White Sox hitter has hit 35 homers. It's Jim Thome, Frank Thomas, Paul Konerko, Ron Kittle, Carlos Quinton, Carlton Fisk, Dick Allen, Luis Robert Jr., Maglio Ordonez, Todd Frazier, Adam Dunn, Jermaine Dye, and Albert Bell. Lenyn Sosa is none of those players. So, yeah, I'd rather trade him than see if he's got 35-plus homer potential, because I just think that 22 might be a career high for Sosa, and he's going to be a player that is not liked by May or June. That's going to wrap up the show. We have a Blackhawks pregame show that's coming up. So make sure that you stay tuned for that at 5:30. They will have a postgame show after the game. If you have any thoughts, again, if you are sharing stuff in the chat, I'm taking it as stuff to, stuff
dye
to
your
create
beard
conversation.
blonde.
So if you want to respond back, I'm always willing to have conversation. Yeah, Sarah is reading Ryan's comment. Dye your beard blonde. Sure.
That's a good one.
Sure, we'll do the Hulk Hogan thing. The
That's
NWO
good.
Hulk Hogan thing. So there you go. We'll dye my beard blonde if Lenyn Sosa hits 35-plus homers. That's going to do it. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.